Aloha and welcome to Wind in Her Hair. I'm Anna, your host, and today is a solo episode. This is all about being unavailable, and I don't mean physically, I mean emotionally. I'm tying this into my new book that I just released on Amazon, Kindle, paperback, soon audio, read by yours truly. Emotional unavailability is, in my opinion, the most important trait you can have to cultivate a healthy, satisfying, long-term relationship. Because if you have emotional availability, you can build on top of that. Emotional availability is like the cement before you build a house. And this is why I want to do a 4-part series on emotional unavailability. My book is called Unavailable. It's about how to stop attracting unavailable people and how to become unavailable to love that hurts. Most people think emotional unavailability is something other people have, not ourselves. But I want to challenge you to put everything you know on the side and just come with an open mind, an open heart, open ears, and to really be able to look inward. If you're listening to this episode right now, I have a good feeling that you are into personal growth, that you are emotionally mature, and that you are willing to take ownership of the things that you need to work on, because we will all always be working on stuff. A lot of us have gone through so much pain and heartache. And it's time to heal those things, because if we don't heal them, they'll stay suppressed. They'll come up through numbing, anxiety, depression, emotional unregulation, etc. So let's dive in. That was a total tangent. So for the next 4 weeks, 4 episodes, point number 1, what emotional unavailability actually is. It's not just about being closed off or cold, right? That might be what you think of. It shows up in high achievers as busyness, logic, and control. A lot of my clients are high achievers, and they have set emotional unavailability on the side. They're not available to their emotions yet because they weren't taught that. They were raised with dismissive, avoidant parents. You can be emotionally unavailable and still be a good person. You can still be nice. And emotional availability is a survival strategy. It worked for X amount of years. Now it is costing you everything. Emotional unavailability is being unavailable to your emotional depth. Basically, whenever an emotion comes up within you, you will suppress it. You don't want to feel it. You don't want to know where it is or where it came from, because it's too painful. There's no good or bad emotions. They just are. So we need to be able to feel sadness and grief and anger. Those emotions, if we didn't have those emotions, I think you would be an incredibly boring person. So it's also hard for people who are emotionally unavailable to sit with other people's emotions, which makes it impossible to have a deeply satisfying relationship with a dismissive avoidant, because avoidants avoid any sort of emotion. When it gets deep in a relationship, they will pull away. When it starts to get real, that they're afraid of that. They don't know what to do with that because they weren't raised in that environment. It scares them. They don't know how to process it. They don't know how to respond. They don't know how to open themselves up to say, hey, I'm here with you. I can sit with you. I can walk through the mud with you. What do you need me to do? Do you want me just to sit and listen? Do you want a hug? Do you want me to help you find a solution? How can I support you in this? They don't even know how to use the language. They're workaholics. They're very logical minded, and they stay that way because it makes them feel safe, and they've avoided confrontation and conflict. They actually haven't avoided it. It's like they're still dealing with it, but in a different way. And they think that they're helping themselves, but they're not. Point number 1 is what emotional unavailability actually is. You're unavailable to your emotions, so you just stay on the surface. You're in the shallow end. You're just splashing around in the shallow end. The deep end looks dark and scary to you, and you just don't want to go anywhere near there. That is what emotionally unavailable is. And like I said, it's the dismissive avoidants who are the most emotionally unavailable. Those are the hardest ones to have a relationship with because you have no emotional connection. Trust me, I've been there. I've been through it all. I've dated all the attachment styles. Securely attached is the best. If you don't know your attachment style, go in the show notes and take the Trauma Solutions attachment style quiz. It's very fast. It's free. Point number 2, the 4 signs you are emotionally unavailable. Doo-doo, doo-doo. That's the Jaws soundtrack. You intellectualize your feelings instead of feeling them. You're great in crisis, but shut down in intimacy. And intimacy does not equal sex. There's sexual intimacy, there's emotional intimacy, and intimacy, I love the way this is said, it's like seeing into me, you see. So if somebody opens up to let you see into them, their heart, their dreams, their goals, their fantasies, their fears, their insecurities, basically they're opening the door to themselves and they're saying, there's a whole lot of shit in here. There's good and there's bad, and it can be embarrassing. It can make you feel so vulnerable. Vulnerable is being close with intimacy. You can just be intimate and you could just be close, but when you're both of those together, you're vulnerable, which is a very good trait to cultivate a good relationship. So you're opening the door to your heart and soul, and you're saying, I trust you to come on in, but enter at your own risk. Please don't judge me. Please just walk around, absorb everything, touch everything, smell it, feel it, see it. It's there. It's all yours to be a part of, to see me, to see into me. That is as deep as you can possibly get, and that is what his real emotional availability is. And then on top of that, when you add sexual intimacy to the emotional intimacy, you are like on cloud 9. And men, for women, they are connected through their ears, just as men are connected through their eyes. So what you're saying to them, emotional availability is all about using your words. It's all about what you're saying to her and how you're saying it. It's all about your tone and your body language. And so if you want to win a woman over, you need to use emotional availability, which is opening yourself up to her, and understand how to speak to her in order to create an emotional connection, which is necessary if you want to have good sex and if you want to keep her. You're great in a crisis, like I said, but you shut down in intimacy. So when you're at work, you put out all types of fires and you use your logic to solve these problems. But once you get home, you're like, I don't know what's happening here. All these emotions, all these needs, all these fears, all this stuff is not what I deal with at work. This is what I find men doing. They want to provide, be the best provider ever, give her everything they think she wants, and keep her happy. But over time, that will not last. That will erode 100%. And she will check out because she's not getting her emotional needs met. And we are emotional beings, all of us, men included. Men, if you say you're not very emotional, I feel sad for you. I'm just being straight up. Don't say that, and don't be proud of that. Again, emotions are not good or bad, they just are. It shows that you're a real human being who can feel pain, regret, sorrow, excitement, joy, loneliness, nervousness, anxiety. Those are all part of being human, and I don't think anybody should actually shut any of that down. Now, the question is, how do you regulate those emotions? Some emotions need regulation more than others, specifically anger. And I know this because as an Enneagram 8, I struggle with anger. When I'm triggered, I will get angry. I don't feel anxious. I don't feel guilt or shame. I feel anger. And I've had to work on this over the years. I've had to interrupt these patterns. I've had to push my imaginary pause button to learn how to regulate my emotions because I feel so passionately about certain things, and I'm the protector and the challenger, and I want to fight for the underdog. And if I feel like someone is treated unjustly, ooh, this mama bear wells up within me, and I have regretted so many things that I've said over the years because I don't stop and pause and take a deep breath and ask myself, am I responding from my wounds or from my wisdom? Most of the time, I was responding from my wounds, which I was completely oblivious to until I started doing the work. Vulnerability feels like weakness or oversharing. This is mostly for the men. Women are not shamed or judged for being emotional, in quotes. Men are. Men are taught, don't cry, be strong, just fight through the loneliness. That is wrong. I feel sad for you, men. I want a man to find a woman who can feel so seen and so safe with her. If he wants to cry over something, cry. I was driving with my daughter, and my mother passed away a few months ago, but she said that she didn't get to really talk to anybody, hasn't been able to share with her girlfriends about how she's feeling this grief about my mom passing. And we were all really close. And just talking about it and just crying about it in the car for a few minutes made us both feel so much lighter and better. And I said to my daughter, let's make an agreement, because we were spending the weekend together. She's 17. Let's make an agreement that we're going to talk about my mom whenever we want, as much as we want, and we're not going to feel ashamed for crying. And she agreed, and we talked about my mom, and we grieved and we cried, and we listened to her favorite music, and we talked about her favorite foods, and getting emotional. Emotionally unavailable is you keep people. Obviously, I still need to grieve more. I mean, it hasn't been too many months. But I'm telling you right now, it doesn't help for you to suppress your emotions. I've cried multiple times on my podcast, so I'm getting used to it. And I just want you all to know that I struggle with stuff. I'm as real as they get. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm not hiding anything. I'm constantly working on things. And I'm here because I've been through the gauntlet. I've been to hell and back. And I've come out the other side, and I want to share my victories, my struggles, my successes, my tools, my strategies, my healing with all of you. That's why I'm here, to help you get unstuck, to give you another perspective and to speak straight to you. I'm not going to whitewash anything or beat around the bush, because I want to save you time, and I want to get you unstuck, and I want you living life on your terms, the way that God intended you to live. Okay, moving on. You keep people at arm's length, even the ones you love. This is a big one. I've spoken to so many men about how they feel like they're loving their wives, they're loving their kids, they're loving their parents. But there's a difference between caring for somebody and showing real love or being in love with somebody. So first of all, regarding spouses, there's a huge difference between being in love with someone and loving someone. And this is actually what I tried to explain to my daughter recently was, you can love someone. Doesn't mean you're in love with them. That's a whole nother level. When you're in love with them, they have your full attention, your full undivided attention. And you are romantically, sexually, chemistry. Okay, that's not a word. Made up. I just made up that word. You are attracted to them. There's this spark. There's this masculine, feminine energy. You are in love with this person, but you can also just love a spouse the way that you love your parents. You can care for them. Hey, the mother of my children, the father of my children, I love this person. I care for them, but you're not in love with them. And most people that I coach are no longer in love and never were in love with their spouses. And they don't come to that realization until weeks into the coaching, because love takes action, and more than just providing a home and food and Chanel bags. Being in love with somebody is not just giving them the basics, but giving them your heart. And that's where men drop the ball and miss the mark by a million miles, is they don't offer their heart, they offer their wallet. And they have no idea they're doing this. And so you keep these people at arm's length, even the ones you love, because you don't know how to open that door. And I imagine it's not just a single door, it's a double door. and maybe you even have it cracked and you think it's wide open. And this is why I started this podcast off with saying that a lot of people don't know they're emotionally unavailable. Take me, for example. As an 8, we struggle with being vulnerable. Now, at first, I'm like, look at me. I just cried on my podcast. I got teary-eyed. I'm talking about my mother's passing. I'm being vulnerable. I am. I'm sharing parts of me that are hard to share because I don't want to start sobbing. That is being vulnerable. But there's also vulnerable on a whole nother level. And I had to accept this and own it. Like, okay, wow, like I am comfortable talking about certain things, but not all things. And not things that I've done wrong. I'm uncomfortable talking about where my heart's at towards someone. Because also, even though I'm securely attached, my second runner-up is fearful avoidant, and we're afraid of being abandoned. Same with being an 8, so it's like a double whammy. Not only my attachment style, my Enneagram, I'm afraid of being abandoned. And so as an 8, I want to guard myself. I want to guard my heart. And I don't even know I'm doing this. That's why personal growth takes so much work, and why people avoid it is because you've got to stop in the moment. Don't let that moment pass you by, or you're going to miss out on a gift. You're going to miss out on healing, on leveling up, on becoming a better version of yourself. And the more you level up, the better type of person you attract, because you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And also you attract what you will tolerate. Well, you keep what you tolerate, but you attract what you are. So if you're emotionally weak, if you're insecure, if you feel like it's not going to get any better, this is as good as it gets, you're going to attract somebody who doesn't value you because they don't value themselves. That's what I did. And so you keep these people at arm's length by not opening up to them, simply by asking deeper questions. And for my clients, I really encourage them, the one with children, is to, even if you have to chat GBT it, what fun question could I ask my 12-year-old today after school? Not how was school, how was your day? Be like, what are you looking forward to most tomorrow? Or what was the most annoying thing about today? Or what is one thing that you really want to do this year that lights you up, that you're so excited about? That is not just keeping them at arm's length, but you're slowly pulling them in because you are trying to draw out their heart. You're trying to understand what makes them excited, what makes them afraid, what makes them nervous. And the only way you find out is if you ask good questions. And on top of that, if you actually sit and listen. And don't correct them. Don't correct how they say it. Don't correct how they feel. Don't try to teach a lesson. Just listen. And then validating. A lot of people don't know how to validate. It doesn't mean you agree. It means you say, hey, I can imagine why you would feel that way. I can totally see why that would upset you. That sucks. And so that's how you draw people in, is you've got to open up yourself so that they open up themselves. If you're closed off and you expect that person to open up and you expect that person to want to be with you and close to you, you have it wrong. And so regarding your wife, men, who I start out talking to, you can provide all these amazing things for her, but she wants to be let inside of your world. She wants to be let into your heart, into your mind, into the things that you're afraid of. And I think it's so attractive and so humbling. My ex never could do this, but to be able to say, hey, I'm struggling with this right now. Men find it very hard to say that, but that shows humility, a decreased ego. When you can say, hey, I need prayer, or I need your help, or I'm really having a hard time with this, or I don't want to make amends with so-and-so, and I'm having a hard time with this. That takes a man of great character to be able to say that. So that was 4 signs you are emotionally unavailable. Number 1, you intellectualize your feelings instead of feeling them. Number 2, you're great in a crisis, but you shut down in intimacy. And number 3, your vulnerability feels like weakness or oversharing. I don't think we really touched on that. Men think that being vulnerable is weak or it's oversharing. That's not true. That's a mindset that you have adopted that needs to go into the trash, that's not serving you. So let's do a little mindset shift. It's like, I think of the gears of a machine, and you're like shifting. You are no longer thinking of vulnerability of weakness, but strength. And high value women, not binge warmers, high value women here, value vulnerability. Vulnerability is closeness with intimacy. So you are saying, come close and come into me and see all the shit and all the goodness that I have to offer. And everybody has it. Everybody. And lastly, you keep people at arm's length, even the ones you love, your own kids, your own spouse, you keep at arm's length. And you probably think that you're doing a good job of being close. If you never sit with your child or your spouse and spend quality time with them, and let me tell you, I'm a quality time girl. Number one, quality time is not on a device. It's, hey, what do you want to do? Let's go do it. Let's go spend 10, 30 minutes and go do this thing, and let's talk. Let's just chat. Let's go for a drive. I talk to my daughter, give me all the juicy bits. What's going on? Who's the cutest boy? To tell me all about him. And she'll talk for 3 hours about all the boys, all the drama, and I just sit and listen. And boys are harder, definitely, to get and listen, but you just got to keep working on it. You can't give up. And your spouse, you've got to be able to say, hey, tell me how your day was and give me the long version. No phones, no TV, no nothing. That is pulling people in. I'm talking about giving them eye contact and really trying to see into them and caring about all the different parts, all the different facets of this person. Their heart, their soul, their mind, their body, their fears, their longings, their desires, their plans, their goals. I never experienced that in my marriage. I missed out big time. And if you're in a marriage with an emotionally unavailable person, they are not going to change. Point 3. Why you don't know you are emotionally unavailable. Your nervous system normalized it early. This is a huge one. My friends who are listening to this is a huge one. This is your norm. What you don't know, you don't know. And so if you don't know that you're emotionally unavailable, you don't know it. This is most likely how you were raised. This is how your brain was wired. All of this is stored into your subconscious. 95 to 97% of your thinking and your behavior is subconscious. So think about that. You could be living most of your life being emotionally unavailable and you have no idea. Number one, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with most. So if you are emotionally unavailable, most likely you're hanging out with other emotionally unavailable men or women. And that's just your norm. You don't get together and talk about deep things and ideas and plans and goals and investments. You're just talking about sports and weather and the next fishing trip. Not that that's wrong, but your nervous system normalized it early on. And you were raised by probably at least one emotionally unavailable parent or caregiver. And number 2, you've been rewarded for it in your business, in life in general. Your emotional unavailability is a strategy that has caused you to be so successful in business. And I'm speaking mainly to the men right now, because this is what I find in every single one of my clients. They're successful in business and they're failing in their love lives. And that's because they're emotional. You have to be emotionless when it comes to investing, when it comes to business. You can't be emotional, but it doesn't work in marriage. It doesn't work with a woman. It just doesn't. And that's how God created us. And nobody challenged it because it looked like strength. So we all have blind spots. We all have blind spots. And that's why I feel sorry for the people who stay single for years and decades, because they have nobody to point out their blind spots. They have nobody to sharpen them or to refine them. In the Bible, it says iron sharpens iron. And so that's what I think about the quote, marriage was not meant to make you happy, but meant to make you holy. And the way that it does that is when you are under the same roof as somebody every day, you're going to be inadvertently triggering that person. So it's on accident. You think of the analogy of you're just bumping into them. And I like the analogy of a drink. So you bump the drink, and whatever's inside spills out. If you are kind of like a bench warmer or somebody who is not emotionally regulated, but a securely attached person has a lid on their cup, and even if you bump them, they're not going to let their insides come spilling out and make a big mess everywhere, namely for you to clean up. Because when they're bumped or triggered, they can pause. They could take a deep breath. They can ask, okay, I'm triggered. I'm activated. I was talking to somebody recently, and I had this out-of-body experience where I was thinking, I am activated right now. My heartbeat increased. I was getting warm. I thought, this is so interesting. And then after the conversation, I sat with myself for a little while and I was like, where did that come from? And what do I need to learn from this experience? I needed to understand what was happening in me. And so a securely attached person will stop and ask, what is happening in me right now? Where is this coming from? And triggers are when somebody bumps into you, usually it's something in your subconscious that hasn't been dealt with. And so be thankful for people triggering you on accident. Most people don't trigger you on purpose unless you're with a narcissist. So I encourage you who's listening, when you're triggered and something pops up, don't run from it. Don't suppress it. You're just going to make it worse. You're going to prolong your healing. So sit in the deep, uncomfortable emotion, whatever it is, and deal with it once and for all. And that is the point. You can't see what you're inside of. So you might be completely emotionally unavailable and you don't even know it. And the best thing for you to do is, if you're married and your spouse may not be completely honest with you, actually, now that I think about it, because if you aren't emotionally available, they might not feel safe being honest with you. If you said, hey, can I get your honest feedback, your honest perspective? Do you think that I'm emotionally unavailable? I don't know if they'd be able to tell you the truth, but here's a good way to be able to tell is if they pause. If they hesitate, and if they look down, they're probably trying to figure out how to escape. And you could say, you could be totally honest with me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. They still might not believe you if you are a reactive person, unfortunately. Point number 3. Why you don't know you are, because your nervous system normalized it early on. You've been rewarded for it in business and in life, and nobody challenged it because it looked like strength and you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with most, and maybe people are too afraid to tell you the truth. That's why you need someone like me in your life to shoot it to you straight, because I will, because I love you, and I'm not afraid to hurt your feelings. Growth only comes through discomfort. And lastly, the blind spot is the point. You can't see that you're inside of it. That's your blind spot. So point number 4 and last point, the faith angle. Everybody has a faith. Whether you don't believe in God and you believe in yourself, whether you believe in creation, the universe, everybody believes in something because that's how you were created. Whether you agree with me or not, you were created with a mind to crave emotional connection, namely with Jesus Christ. Number 1, God created us for deep connection. Emotional unavailability is a wall against that. You cannot have a relationship with a person if you don't open yourself up emotionally, period. It doesn't matter how freaking good the sex is. That only lasts for so long. You can't have a 40-year relationship, marriage, relationship with someone with just good sex and no emotional connection. You will never find anybody like that. And I pity that person if you find a relationship where all they just have is good sex and maybe he provides and she gives him back rubs or something. They've only touched the surface. There's no depth. Think of the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg or the frosting on top of the cake is just sex. What's the 90% under the tip of the iceberg? That is the emotional depth. That is all the emotional and the mental connection and the intimacy that you have with someone. On the top, that's not intimacy. That's sex. That's banter. That's flirting. On the top. The second part is, you can love God and still be emotionally unavailable. Trust me, I was married to somebody who is completely emotionally unavailable and still says he loves God, still says he's a Christian, goes to church, stacks the chairs, totally emotionally unavailable. Wouldn't talk about dreams, future goals, plans for our kids, ways that we've struggled, ways that we need more support, more help. None of that. Healing is an act of obedience and stewardship. Now think about this for a minute. This is a little bit deeper level here. We are all responsible for our own healing. Nobody else is. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody cares as much about your healing and your dreams as you do. And this is your stewardship. It's just like finances. Whatever you have was given to you by God. God rains down blessing on the righteous and the unrighteous. Don't think that just because you're blessed, you're a good person. God says he blesses the evil and the good. Why? I have no idea. So being a steward of your blessings is really important, because when you're faithful with little, he'll give you more to be faithful with. And so your healing is an act of obedience and stewardship. I mean, think about that. It is our responsibility to heal ourselves, but of course, to ask for God's help. He wants to help us. But don't put that healing on your spouse. Don't expect them to meet your needs. Don't expect them to heal your hurts. That's your responsibility and your responsibility alone. That's our stewardship. We are stewards over our minds, over our hearts, over our bodies. What are you doing to steward those things? Are you responsible for your own healing, or are you putting that on somebody else? What it looks like when you become responsible and a good steward of your healing is you carve out time every single day to heal. That means it could be intentional or unintentional. Unintentional would look like somebody triggering you or bumping into you, saying something that doesn't sit right with you. That is your moment to shine, friends. That's your moment to shine. And if you have kids, that's your holy training ground. Honestly, if you're married, that's your holy training ground. That person is going to annoy you. It's your choice to look inside and be like, why does this bother me? What is going on here? Where did this come from? And to be a detective and to put on your scuba diving mask and dive into the deep end. No matter how scary, how cold, how uncomfortable that is, it is in the deep end that you will find the treasures, the gold, the treasure chest. I mean, you're literally not going to find the treasure chest in the shallow end. It doesn't exist. Treasure chest and gold only exist in the deep end. You've got to take responsibility and ownership to seize those opportunities, to sit in it, to not suppress it, because that's going to come out later in yucky ways. And then intentionally, it would look like you carving out time every day. Create a beautiful morning routine that sets you up for success for the day. Things like journaling, studying the Bible if that's your thing, praying, meditating, breathing exercises, working out, cold plunge, tea, water, whatever it is. That is healing. Or things like for consistent therapy, or getting a coach, or finding a mentor, or listening to educational podcasts, or YouTube videos, or audiobooks. Content that educates you about things like attachment styles and Enneagram and your core wounds and shadow work. All of this stuff is really diving deep into personal development. The saying, you've given me this body, it's been hurt, it's been tarnished, it's been broken. There's lots of healing that needs to take place. It's time to start doing it. It's time to stop putting it off. For example, setting your timer every day for 10 minutes and doing grief work. I'll touch on this really quick. It's made such a huge difference in my life, and we all have demons in quotes. And if you don't face them, they will linger and they will haunt you for the rest of your life. And so you have to weigh it out. What's the lesser of two evils? Suppressing the pain, avoiding the demons, or sitting with it and processing and getting rid of it and be like, okay, finally, that's gone. And the more every day you're doing this healing work, your life gets lighter and lighter and lighter. When you suppress everything, it bleeds into all the different parts of your life through depression and overwhelm and procrastination and fear and anxiety. So that's why it's time. I set the timer for 10 minutes. I just sit there with my eyes closed in silence, no distractions. And sometimes I'll go through a list of people in my mind: ex-boyfriends, ex-husbands, siblings, parents, children, friends. My mind will stop on a specific person, and I'll just sit there and I'll wait. And then I'll just think of memories and experiences. And then an experience or a situation will come to mind where maybe I had been hurt. And I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to sit here. I don't want to relive this. No, thank you. That was painful enough. And I'm like, nope. Okay, what you're trying to avoid is the very thing that you need to face. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to avoid this, so I'm going to face it. Okay, what happened in this situation? What story am I telling myself in this situation? Or maybe I go through a timeline. So I start when my first memories are when I'm 4, and I go year by year, and this just takes really seconds, but I'm just going through my timeline. I'm remembering the different homes that I lived in, the different animals I owned, the different friends I had. And for example, I stopped at 29. I remember dating someone at that age, and I felt like a little girl. I was a single mom, but I still felt like this helpless little girl in a raft that had a slow leak. And this came up during my grief session. And like, why did I feel like a little girl? Why did I feel helpless? And then I'll remember a moment that popped up during this relationship. I was like, wow, that made me feel powerless. And so I'll work through that. And every time I do this, I become stronger and stronger and stronger. And so let's go back to this and wrap this up. Healing is an act of obedience and stewardship. And lastly, you were created for more than surface level love. Here's one thing, we're talking about love. I've had these conversations with my clients all the time. They say, she loved me. I know she did. I say, okay, really? How did she love you? And they can't name one thing. Love is an action, not a feeling. It can be a feeling, but the love you have that we're talking about when you have for your spouse or your children is an action. It's forcing yourself to do the thing you don't want to do, but because you know it's going to bless that other person or support them. It's giving up something you love for the benefit of another. That's what love is. It's so easy to say, I love you. It's so much harder to show it. And that's what I had to explain. As your kids get older and they don't understand why you left their dad, it's like, yes, he said he loved me. How did he show it? He would always say, oh, I gave you a home. I provided for you. Well, you would have done that anyway, even if you were single. What did you do above and beyond that? No, that's not love. That's provision. And yes, provision is part of love. But there was no emotional intimacy, sexual intimacy, none of that. We were created for more than a surface level love. And if you feel like if you really stop and you ask yourself, this is surface level. Ask yourself, is your love surface level? Have you let your wife into your world? Have you opened those double doors wide open and just said, come in, partake, ask any questions, explore about my inner world? That is true emotional intimacy. Have you allowed her in on a deeper level? Are you curious about her world? Have you asked to enter her world and for her to tell you all about everything that's going on in there? And the long version, not like, okay, I've got 5 minutes and then I've got to jump on this call. But honey, I want to know you deeper. I want to be in the University of Sabrina, or whatever her name is. I want to know you. I want to know what lights you up, what makes you afraid, what makes you worried. Unless you don't give a shit, then you shouldn't be married. In closing, I want to recap the core truth is that emotional unavailability is the biggest obstacle to cultivating a deep, loving, meaningful, satisfying relationship. Also, a lot of people don't know they're emotionally unavailable because their nervous system has been wired that way, and that's their norm. They think coming home from work and asking about the day and taking her on a date, having sex, and hearing her gripe about her sisters, and then offering some feedback, and then giving her a card to get that outfit you want. And she seems happy, and you go to her, or you go to your in-laws and you talk about the sports and the next boys trip. You think that is emotional availability. You think that's love on another level. You are wrong. There is emotional safety where she can feel so seen and so heard, and she's not afraid of being disrespected if she says no. She is safe emotionally. She could say whatever she wants. She's not walking on eggshells. She doesn't have to filter what she says because of a fear for your reactions. You just let her be. I'm 48 and I'm still once a month get really emotional, and it's so funny. It seems like every time I get emotional, there's also something kind of heavy that happens. I don't know if it's just coincidence. I don't know if that heavy thing happens and I wasn't about to, I'm just gonna say it, start my cycle. I have nothing to hide here on this show. I promised you, I have nothing to hide. Or if it's just coincidence, every time the cycle comes, something heavy, and it just like a double whammy, and I'm wondering, okay, I'm emotional. You want to be a man who's going to notice like, she's being emotional in quotes, like she's kind of making this into a big deal. She seems pretty upset, even though I don't think there's a reason to be upset. But you know what? I'm just going to let her be upset. I'm not going to judge her. I'm not going to make her feel bad. That is an emotionally available man. If you could just say, tell me more, what are you feeling right now? Okay, so you're feeling unseen, all right? You're feeling frustrated. I hear you, I see you, and I'm so sorry. I did not mean to cause you to feel that way. My intention was to do X, Y, and Z, but I'm so sorry that it came off in the wrong way. That takes a very mature man to be able to take ownership, even though it was not on purpose. Because do you want to be right? Or do you want to have peace? Which one? If you're smart, you're going to want to have peace. And so you just let her process. And the more gracious and humble and non-egotistical, the more you're inquiring and asking good questions and you're trying to reach into her heart, the easier it's going to be for you. The shorter the healing process, the less drama there's going to be. If you resist, sir, if you resist, that you're asking for a fight, you're asking for a long, drawn out, maybe overnight issue, and don't you be the guy you wake up in the morning unresolved and say, good morning, do you want coffee? No, F you. Do not say that. If you're the guy who says good morning when the night before something was not resolved, you are emotionally unavailable. Let me just tell you that right now. Well, I want to challenge you to ask yourself honestly, am I available emotionally? Do I let people into my heart, into my mind, or do I find myself closing off when people try to get too close or they ask the deeper questions about how I'm feeling? And then I have to start talking about fear or doubt or shame or insecurity or grief. If that makes you feel uncomfortable, you are emotionally unavailable. And if you don't sit with your wife's emotions and let her feel safe and create this beautiful nest of emotional safety, you are emotionally unavailable. Episode number 2, next week or the week after, depending if I do an interview next week, we are going to be talking about why you keep attracting unavailable people. If you are single, but also even as married people, you can attract unavailable friends, friends that just use you, friends that don't care about your best interest. And that says something about your character. You can also get my book, Unavailable, on Amazon. The link will be in the bio. And if you feel like you need more support in any sort of coaching way, you want to level up your relationships with yourself, with other people, then you can book a clarity call with me in the link in the bio. And lastly, I want to say thank you so much for listening. Your time with me means so much to me. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I love that I get to be a part of this healing journey with you. And also go get some freaking wind in your hair. And that means go push yourself outside your comfort zone. Do something hard, have the hard conversation. It means go have fun. go roll down the windows and go drive fast, or go golf, or get in a golf cart, or do whatever you want, but go have fun this week. And then also go do the hard thing. Go get in a cold plunge. Do it. It's about disciplining your mind. And I will see you next week. Aloha.